So Simon, we faced Barrow on Saturday, back at home. It's a side we came up against last season, National League, the side that won the division, went up with us. Is it a different challenge coming against a team which we actually have played before this time?
Only slightly, I think we know a little bit more about them, if anything. They've still got quite a few of the players that drove them to their success last year. And we know, because of that success, they're a good footballing team. And the pitch will be good. I went up and had a look at it yesterday at our stadium, so back home will be great for everyone involved. But the pitch should be good for both sides, so it should be an entertaining game.
And what do you recall of our performances against Barrow previously?
Good performances. We had a good win at the start of last season away from home. It probably flatters us a little bit, the scoreline, 3-0, 3 set pieces. But after that they went on an unbelievable run, to win the league. And they play in a very similar style despite the change of manager.
And what's the biggest quality they have? What do we have to look out for on Saturday?
Well, they're comfortable on the ball. If you switch off, they'll look to play into gaps, and our shape, we have to be really organised throughout and deny them those opportunities to play between the lines. And they've also got a threat in behind. They've got goal scorers in the team that did well last season, and will be wanting to continue that success. But strengths all round, but hopefully our strengths on the day outweigh theirs.
The Bradford performance and result was really promising. It was really good to see. How do you keep the players level-headed after a result like that? Because I guess it can be a bit easy for them to sort of go, wow, look at us, we've done well here.
Oh, soon see. They've had a couple of days off just to get some respite and recharge the batteries. But we expect a sharp train session today and then more of the same tomorrow. I think they know we can trust them. We have got really good grounded lads that all want to come into work and give it what for every day to keep really in tune with how we want to play and how they want to play as individuals. So there'll be no problem with that.
In the programme this week, Will Smith was talking about how he wants to get more goals. How much emphasis or importance is it for defenders to get goals in this side?
I think there's a great opportunity to get goals as defenders, whether it's full-backs overlapping and getting into the last third, and freeing up, getting in some decent space to be able to make the most of it, of the possession we've got. And also set pieces are vital at this level. In tight games we've already seen we've got quality deliveries, particularly from George Thompson into the area. And it's about arriving on time when the ball comes across and meeting it and being aggressive. And
you briefly touched on it, we are back at Harrogate this Saturday. Personally, for you, how excited are you?
Yeah, even more so excited, because I had a look around the changing rooms. They've been revamped, and finally after about 100 years, but it's looking good. And the pitch, even the runoffs, with the 3G round, it looks like a billiard table at the minute. The pitch, and with the new stand, the yellow of the brand new stand and the green of the pitch is just, it looks striking, and it's very inviting for us to all go back there and play.
Also this week in the press conference we've got questions from fans, which I'm going to read out to you right starting now. So the first one is from Alan Robinson, and it says, are you worried about how the players will adjust to the new pitch surface, I assume at Harrogate?
No, because we've never been worried going away from home and playing on grass, so it's an easy one to answer.
Christopher Cunningham, Bossman, how nervous were you about us moving to the Football League, and which team were you most concerned about being a challenge?
No, there's butterflies before the first game, but I think it's only human when it's a new challenge, but more excitement than anything than nerves. What's the second part of that question again?
You wanted to know which team you're most concerned about, which is the biggest challenge.
Honestly, I think they're all challenges because they're all good teams being at this level. So we treat every game the same. I'm sorry to be boring with that, but there isn't one team where you go, we must shut up shop at all costs and just back off. We attack in the same vein.
A question from Matt Keegan, who's a young analyst. He says, what sort of analysis do you do at the club?
Oh, right, well, that's a good one. We've now got Y Scout and Huddle, so a couple of platforms there where with Y Scout we get the games recorded and then put onto a platform which I can now download into a file, and then Huddle that allows me to break up each game into into different small clips to show to the players before every game, you know, so we can look at them in depth and look at all the strengths and weaknesses and any recurring themes. So I enjoy doing that. It's quite a long process, but at least you can convey it with some confidence when you do it yourself, and obviously with Thursday's input as well. So that's the analysis we do, plus we also get it backed up every performance with Johnny Lally's breakdown and his stat pack that he sends us all.
Ian Chesnick asks, do you ever consider changing formation to maybe 3 at the back when preparing for a game, depending on the opposition?
Well, we've been on a good run by playing a certain way in the system, so there's been changing the system, especially to a 3 at the back, has had less relevance in the last 2 or 3 years. On occasion we have done, but we're more about sticking to what we know, and because it's difficult, I think, can fry people's heads if you change systems too much, and players become less accustomed with their roles, and it's good for players to drive in just knowing that can concentrate on their usual role.
Liam Coates asked, and I think it's a question a lot of fans were wanting to ask, was there ever any temptation to try and get Jack Diamond back on loan for another season?
Oh, there's a temptation straight away, straight after the kick-off, straight after the final whistle. We were all over him, you know, even on the journey home, and saying it in jest, you know, saying, you know, you must come back, but at the end of the day he's a good player, and Sunderland have seen those qualities, and he's their player, but they know that we really rate him, and it would have been great to have had him back, but we wish him well and continued success there.
Bernard Higgins asks, is Calvin Miller the replacement for Diamond? Is he a similar type of player, would you say?
I think he's probably the most similar, you know, that we've got, so we definitely looked at him as bringing a bit of pace and vitality, and, you know, running with the ball quality that's similar to John.
And Joe Taylor, he wants to know about the BT Sport documentary. Has it had a positive effect on yourself and the club, do you think?
Well, I all I can say is that I enjoyed it, you know, and it's quite intense at times, you know, having to do the video blogs and stuff, but not sure I've come off better for it, but definitely I enjoyed the process. I think as a team, I think it was seen as you know, a really good documentary and a real authentic insight into what we're about, and I think everyone came across well in terms of the players and the members of staff, so hopefully it did us some good.
Darren Topham wants to know, do you have to pinch yourself with this Harrogate Story at the moment? Is it still a dream to you?
Yeah, the odd occasion where you think you have some perspective, you know, if you get a disappointment like losing against Bolton, and you go, oh, hang on a minute, you know, you drive home and go, well, there's a balance to be had, you know, if we continue to lose, then yeah, maybe you react in more disappointment, but it's still early days, everyone's adapting well, but yeah, it's great to be in the Football League, but I think you know, we keep moving on and don't be starry-eyed.
And the final question is from Jordan Ford. He wants to know, where do you see the club in 5 years' time, and what is the long-term aim for the club?
Another 5 years. In another 5 years, hopefully, we're a well-established Football League club that is playing even higher than where we are now. You know, I'm not going to say, right, in 5 years' time, 100% halfway up that Championship table, because, you know, it's steady, you know. But I think if everyone's hopes and dreams are aligned, you know, in terms of if the growing support, you know, if our story, you know, reaches more people and attracts more people to the ground, we've got more chance of doing well and more chance of aspiring to higher leagues than League Two. Obviously, to be sustainable is still massively important to us as a club, especially in the climate now, you know, with COVID and everything, and it's upset every the financial side of every club. But as football people, we want to do well, you know, and so we can't wait for when the crowds return, and then the numbers that come in and our performances aligned will dictate just how far we can go with this. But as football people, we want to win every single match and go as high as possible.